from R.T.O here. Welcome to Saturday morning. And of course, when I come in on a Saturday, it's usually because Richard's with me. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, Ian. How are you on this lovely autumn morning?
Well, it is a nice autumn. The sun's out. It's really warm as well.
It's a very nice day. So it is.
Going to be a good day. Anyway, what have we got for you today? Well, it's a thing we've decided to call Bad Songs on Good Albums. You know, when you got an album, oh, this is a brilliant album, and then there's that one that goes, it's a bit, nah. And looks like Gary Moore is going to fall off, but you're not falling off, Gary. Okay. Slight alteration to the scenery. Anyway, usual thing, Richard will go first, I'll go second. I've got 4 bubbling unders today.
I've got 3 or 4. There's one that I'm not too sure whether I want to include, but I might just anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so
mine's got a shock, and you'll be shocked.
Well, my number 10 is probably a shock to some people, but anyway. So, I thought this was very difficult, but I've got 10. And my number 10 is by the Beatles. Now, it's not the one you automatically think from the White Album. I'm not even touching that. It's actually from their second album with the Beatles. And the track I cannot stand is Roll Over Beethoven with George Harrison singing. I think it is the most bland version of that song I've ever heard. There's no life in it whatsoever. To start with, I'm not that keen on the song, even Chuck Berry's version. I still think the best version is ELO's, because at least they do something with it and have wee extra bits to beef it up. But it's so pedestrian, and it opens the side 2 of that album. And I love, with the Beatles, I think it's a really, really good album, and I really like all the other cover versions. But this one, if they had to put on something like This Boy or anything instead of Roll Over Beethoven, would be far better. I just don't like it. And George Harrison, for me, does not have a rock and roll voice. It's a very sort of a sleepy voice. And he can do a bit of rockabilly, but full-blown rock and roll like Roll Over Beethoven, no, not for me. So that's my number 10.
I totally agree. It just ruins the album. I don't play it. I just skip it. It gets skipped. I just cannot think. I mean, like you, I think the best version of that is ELO's. I mean, I think what makes it brilliant is Mick Kaminsky's violin. That's what makes it the best version. Yeah. My number 10 comes from an album from 1973 by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And it's the album in question is Brain Salad Surgery. And it's Benny the Bouncer. You've got Still Turn Me On there. You've got the brilliant Carnival in its glory and a heart-wrenching Jerusalem. And then you get this dongy. What were they thinking? It's horrible. It just doesn't suit that album at all. There should have been a B-side, or, you know, if you put it on a B-side of a single or something, yeah, it's a bit of fun. But Benny the Bouncer, I mean, they never played it live, I don't think, and I wonder why.
I've never heard it. It's just whenever you said Benny the Bouncer, all I could picture was Benny out of Crossroads standing outside a nightclub.
All I'll say, it is just dire. You ask any ELP fan, and they always say, well, that's not the thing. I'll be first some of the trucks off that disastrous art of the album, the Love Beach. There's better songs on that than Benny the Bouncer. And that's why it's my number 10, because it shouldn't even be on the album.
Well, my number 9, and I don't think Rob Walker's going to be happy here, and it's by The Jam, and it's from the album The Gift, and it's the title track. Now, The Gift, I actually do like the album, and there is a couple of clunkers on it, but the other clunker I actually quite like now. But the actual title track, The Gift, I think is one of Paul Weller's worst ever Jam songs. It tries to be melodic with the do, and it's just rubbish. It's the last song on the second side, and I believe the Jam played it live in the '82 quite a bit, and I just never liked it. It's just no good. It's one of his worst, and a poor way to finish the album, and it gets my number 9. Never liked it.
Yeah, I've always thought that was a bit of a filler.
Yeah,
I thought, oh, we better call one the same name as the album. And I think
no,
it was, I think it was written in about 20 seconds, just to fill the album up. It is. It's probably one of the poorest tracks they ever put out in my
I
book.
know
Sorry, Rob, but it is.
Bob likes it, but I always thought the album should have been called "Running on the Spot," especially with a cover of it, because it looks as if they're running on the
On the
spot.
spot, yeah. I
But
don't know what went wrong there. Okay, my number nine. I'm going to 1983 now to "Peace of Mind" by Iron Maiden, and a track on there called "Quest for Fire." It it's a terrible lyric. It's there's just something about it. I mean, on that album, you've got The Trooper, you've got Flight of Icarus, Where Eagles Dare, classics, and then this pile of rubbish. It's a silly song, and it just doesn't. That should have been on a B side of one of the singles. I mean, and there's some stuff they put done for the B sides is better than that. How the hell that ended up on the album, I don't know. The quest for oh. Yeah, I just don't like that song.
I don't know what's heavy metal, so I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
However, you might be surprised at this one, my number eight, and it's by Queen, and it's from News of the World, and it's "Sleeping on the Sidewalk," which I think is terrible. It's a bog standard bluesy number, and it is the most boring track they have released up until that time. It's dreadful. It's one of Brian May's worst ever, and I don't think it's very well produced either, and it spoils the album for me. I think that album is very good, but the "Sleeping on the Sidewalk" just does nothing, and no, it's just so generic. Terrible song.
Yeah, again, I think that was just a filler.
Mm.
It's there's going to be Queen fans throwing things at at their screens at us for saying, but now I agree, it's not my favourite track on there. It's just a plod. It
Yeah,
plods along. It's a plod. It just. What were you thinking? I mean, I know they made some. I mean, I love Leroy Brown. I think that's fantastic. But this is just plods. There's nothing to it. And it's got John Deacon. You must have been going, God, this is boring. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Okay, my number eight. We go to 1978 and one of my favourite bands, Rainbow, and their album Long Live Rock and Roll. And there's a track on there where Rainbow decide to do a ballad.
I know this one. Is it "Rainbow Eyes"?
Yes.
Yeah.
What? We've got The Gates of Babylon. We've got LA Connection, Kill the King. And then the last song on the album is this mishmash. And what? This is not Rainbow. This is not nothing to do with wizards. And I don't know what they were thinking on that one, but it is the bleh on the one of the Blur album songs of any Rainbow albums. It's just yeah, everyone, because I'm glad it's the last track because you just take off the needle and finish the album. It's just dire.
I remember whenever I was at college, there's a big Rainbow fan, and he loved that song. He thought it was the best on the album. So he does, but there you go. That's how I knew of Rainbow Eyes. Well, my number seven is also last on the album, which is good, and it's from a brilliant album. And it's Billy Joel from The Stranger, and it's the song called "Everybody Has a Dream."
Oh, dear.
Get me, get me the sick bucket. It is so syrupy, it's so sweet, and it's got, again, a very generic chorus. But that album is so good with things like "Scenes from an Italian Restaurant," Anthony's Song, even "I Love You Just the Way You Are." Those are all great songs. But this "Everybody Has a Dream," oh, it makes me want to vomit. It's dreadful. It really is.
Yeah, pass the
And
bucket round.
I think I've had that album since the 80s, and I think I've only played that song about twice or three times in my entire life. I can't get through it. It's dreadful. So it's my number seven.
I can't add anything else to it because it just give me the bucket, please. Yeah, it is terrible. My number seven might surprise a lot of people. It's from 1987, and it's Fleetwood Mac's Tango in the Night. And I hate Big Love.
All right, okay.
Huh, huh, huh. You know, not very and I hate it when they did it on that live album, this Lindsey Buckingham on his guitar.
I think that's great.
You got great tracks on that album. You got Sweet Little Lies, Seven Wonders. I'm glad it's the first track. Get it out of the way. I just never really connected with that song. It's just dribble. I just don't like that. You know, what's all that? So there you go. You probably like that one, don't you?
It's not my favorite, but I don't dislike it. I will admit I do prefer the live version, so I do. But well, that's one of my choices going for the next one. Anyway, my number six, and it's from the band that saved the 80s for me, the Smiths, and it's from their second best album, their debut. And it's a track called Miserable Lie, and it's just, I don't like it at all. I never have liked it. It starts off okay, but then it goes into this hurried mess, tuneless mess, and it's just bang in the middle of side one, and it's awful. It really is. I never liked it, even though whenever I bought the album and was playing it constantly, and I played it as well, I never got to like that song. And it's just a mess, and that's my number six, Smith's Miserable Lie.
Yeah, I think when I did the ranking of it, I think I said something like, you know, it starts off well, and then everyone else doesn't go and do their own thing, and it just doesn't sound right. They must have had a fallout. Well, I'm going to do this. I don't care. It is. I mean, the drum on that. It's got the worst drum beat ever. It just seems a 3-year-old could drum better than that.
It's not good.
No, it is not good. Okay, my number six comes from Muse, from the Black Holes and Revelations album. Probably their last real good album, except it's got a blip on it called Soldier's Poem. It's lifeless. It's dull. I mean, this has got Black Hole, you know, Supermassive Black Hole, that great song. You've got Nights of Sidonia, you've got Take a Bow, and then you get dum, dum, dum. It's like Sleeping on the Sidewalk, basically. It's just, what is that rubbish? And they used to play it live. They played it live on that tour, and that's not even good either. Because sometimes you get a song that's absolutely dreadful on the album, but when they play it live, oh yeah, that's better. You get the proper thing, but nah, that, you know, you might as well fall asleep one of those. It's one of them tracks I call when you run out of anaesthetic in the hospital. Put that on, that'll send you to sleep.
Right. Well, my 5 and 4 are not actually songs; they're tracks. My number 5 is by Simon and Garfunkel. And it's from the Bookends album, and it's a track called "Voices of Old People." And it is a waste of space on the album. It's just Art Garfunkel going into an old people's home and recording chats between all the old residents. And that's it. Now, it does fit in a way because of the progression of side one from birth to death. And yes, it does. But come on, write a song maybe about that, but not just old folks talking away to each other. And it's terrible. It really is. And it spoils for me the flow in a way. And I think it should never have been on that album. I like the idea of it, but it just doesn't work. So Simon Garfunkel, Voices of Old People from Bookends.
Yeah, it is pretty bad. This is about as bad as Sonic Youth when they did Silence.
All right.
It is. It's just a minute and 3 seconds of nothing. Why?
John,
what's the point of that? I couldn't even include it in this because it was pointless, but I wanted to put it in because it just ruins a reasonably good album. Anyway, my number 5, you've mentioned the band already, and it's Queen. And this is from 1991, Innuendo. and it's Delilah.
Yeah.
I don't want a song about his cats pissing all over his sofa. He wrote some fantastic songs, but not that one, Freddie. Sorry, Freddie, but that was pants. Again, we had some great songs on that album. The title track, Best Days of Our Lives, which is beautiful. What else is on there? The Show Must Go On, you know, his Reflections. Okay, it was an album, Reflections, and I know we love cats, but Delilah is just thing. The good thing is on the album version, it's shorter than on the CD. So there is that mercy, but it's still rubbish.
It's not the best, so it's not.
No.
I'm not a that album anyway. I don't think it's that great, but it would be down at the bottom for me. Well, my number 4 is another one of these sort of chatting ones, and it's from a fantastic album from 1965. And it's from the Beach Boys' Today album, and it's the very last track. It's not a song, and it's called Bull Session for Big Daddy. And basically, it's them talking away in the studio, and that's it. And you think, what the hell? Because it's been a perfect album up to then, and then they finish it with this filler. Could they not have put on a B-side? Could they not have put on a different A-side that had been not on any album? Anything at all. But the Beach Boys, sorry, had a habit of doing something like that, and it was just pure filler. Don't understand why. It doesn't destroy the album because it's the last song, but the album would have been better with any other song instead of Bull Session. And it is Pilot Bull as well.
Yeah,
Bull Session.
it is. It's just, you know why you come up with all these great songs, and then you go and have to do this. No, I totally agree. Okay, my number 4 comes from Pink Floyd, which, yeah, it's from 1971's Medal.
Right.
And it's Seamus.
You don't like that?
An album that's got One of These Days and Echoes and Fearless. And this is the trot when I put the album on, it even sets Rocky off. He's like this. When he was a bit younger, when we first had him, you put this on, he'd jump, because where I lived then, he could get on the sofa and up and look out the window. Every time you put this on, off he went. You know, Dash Hands would just bark at anything. And I just hate it. Shame, that's the dog. Oh, no. Even Marley, you know, my two Marley did it as well. So that's something, isn't it? I just think there are better songs than that rubbish.
Well, I suppose Pink Floyd have put a lot of sort of dodgy songs on, especially their earlier albums.
Yeah.
Well, my number 3 you will hate because you do not like the group, and it's Tyrannosaurus Rex, not T-Rex, Tyrannosaurus Rex. And it's the last track from their second album, Prophets, Seers and Sages, The Angels of the Ages. And the song is called Seenscough Dynasty. And basically, all it is Mark singing, clapping hands. There's no instrumental backup at all. It's almost doing a rap in 1968, clapping away at the hands. And it's shockingly bad. Absolutely dreadful. And it should have been dumped. And they could have put something like 1 Inch Rock on there, and it would be far better.
I totally agree. It is spoiled. I mean, as you know, I'm not a great fan of Tyrannosaurus Rex, but it is. Nah, don't need that, do you? Yes, I totally agree with that one. Okay, my number 3 is from Mike Oldfield. The 1983 album Crisis, and I'm sure you know which song it is.
It's my Bubbling Under.
I love John Anderson. I love Mike Oldfield. And they did better. Like Shine. Much better. But In High Places just does not fit on that album. It's awful. And I know there were songs that were B-sides that should have, like we said last time, Jungle Gardenia should have been on that album. Instead of that, it's horrible. I mean, it's got Crisis, which is just epic. Foreign Affair, Moonlight Shadow, Shadow on the Wall, In High Places. Taurus 3 is even better than that.
Taurus 3 is very good, actually.
Yeah, it's short and wonderful. So there you go, In High Places. It's
totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Well, my number 2, and it's from the Rolling Stones, and it's from their 1967 album, Their Satanic Majesty's Request. That's the last track on side 1, called Sing This All Together, and in brackets, See What Happens. And it's 8 minutes long of crap jamming, basically. The first 3 seconds sound good, but after that, the rest of the 8 minutes is absolute garbage. The opener for the album is actually Sing This All Together, which is not a bad song. Excuse me, I have a frog on my throat here. And but this was like a reprise, an 8-minute reprise of them just farting about, and it's dreadful. And there's 3 songs that could have taken their place: We Love You, Dandelion, and Child of the Moon, and that would have made it a far, far better album. So Sing This All Together. I also don't like the Bill Wyman one, but it's not as bad as Sing This All Together, See What Happens. Crap.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed album for me. I get some of it, but there was so much other psychedelic going around. They didn't need to do it really. But yeah, it's got some good stuff on. But yeah, that's just a waste of 8 minutes of tape. Okay, my number 2 comes from Genesis. It's the last album that Phil recorded with them, We Can't Dance.
Yeah.
And it's Hold On to My Heart. It's probably the worst song they ever wrote. It makes In Too Deep sound good. It's just boring. I mean, what track's on there? I mean, I Can't Dance is a bit, but it's listenable. It's fun. I love Driving the Laugh Spike. I like No Son of Mine, Fading Lights. But this is just soulless.
It sounds like a Phil Collins solo song, really. And you wouldn't think it was a Genesis song. You would think it was Phil Collins solo.
I think it's even going to be a bad Phil Collins song. It's just got no life in it. And it was a release as a single, and it did quite well. And I mean, what in God's name were people thinking? Why were you going to buy that dirge? It even sound, I mean, it sounds a little bit better live, because I think Tony Banks actually does something, you know, he gets on the keyboards and make it a little bit more thing. But you could tell, I think, that Tony Banks was not a great lover of that song.
I'm not a great lover of that album. I think it's overblown and it's not very good. In fact, I'm not a great lover of anything after Abacab. I know you don't like Abacab. So, well, my number 1 is going to be a bit of a surprise, because I never mentioned this band. I've only ever heard one album, and I like it. There's only 5 tracks on the album, and one is pure manure. And it's King Crimson, and In the Court of the Crimson King. Is that what you call it? Yeah?
Yep.
And this track is Moonchild, which is 12 minutes long. Now, the first 3 minutes was actually quite good. And then it just falls apart, and it goes into this sort of guitar picking, diddly-dee, diddly-dee, diddly-dee. It is tuneless, it's dreadful, it goes on forever and ever and ever, and it puts you in a bad mood. It really does put you in a bad mood. Now, the album itself, I do like. I like the 21st Century Schizoid Man, although it noodles a bit with the guitar, a wee bit too much for my liking. But I do like the other 2 songs, as Epitaph and I Talk to the Wind, which are very moody bluesy in sound, and I think they're very good, and I do like the title track. But that Moonchild is shockingly bad, really bad, and so it's my number 1. It does put me in a bad mood.
Yeah, I don't like that bit. Take all that plinky plonky off. That's okay. It's one of those tracks that when you watch them, and you're going to watch Robert Fripp, you can watch him doing all that, and at least you've got something to look at and see how a good guitarist he is. But when you listen to it on a studio album, you don't need all that nonsense in it, and it spoils the track, because the actual song is good, and then it just falls, as you said, it falls apart, and it doesn't come back. They should have chopped it down for about 5 minutes.
Maximum.
And fade out doing the plinky plonk. That
Yeah.
would have worked, but no. I think it was a bit of an ego trip for Robert Fripp myself, but that's anyway. I'm going to get shot down in flames for this by loads of people, especially it's a Beatles song from Sergeant Pepper's.
Oh, Within You, Without You.
That is absolutely right. What the dickens is that? If I want to listen to that, I'll go to an Indian restaurant for a curry.
God, right, okay.
I hate it. When I put it on my iPod, right, I didn't even bother putting that song on it. I've never listened. I listened to it to do this, to make sure that I don't like it, and I just detest it. What the hell were they thinking? They were too good for this rubbish.
I agree in a way. It should never have been on that album. I don't mind it, but it doesn't fit on the album. It's more a B-side for me. I would have far rather had Sergeant Pepper or Strawberry Fields Forever on that album to open up sides two. It would have been far, far better. And the worst thing is, it's the longest song on the album. It must be about 6 minutes long.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. I mean, I think
Yeah.
I once put it on when I had an Indian meal, and I put it on at the beginning, and everyone just rolled around the room, you know.
Don't forget, George was really into that sort of music because even on Revolver, he had Love You Too, which was very similar. And then The Inner Light, which was the B side of Lady Madonna, had that Indian feel. So he was really into that, but I just don't think it fits Sergeant Pepper.
No, it doesn't. Put it on a. Have I just muted myself?
No.
No, it's all right then. I thought I had. Yeah, load of old doggy doo in my books. That'll upset people. I'm expecting someone will make an excuse why it's wonderful.
Well, my three bubbling unders, because you already mentioned one, which is My Goldfield in High Places. Um, sorry, Rob, again, but I mentioned it last week, and it's The Police Be My Girl, stroke Sally from Outlandish Demure. The chorus bit is childlike catchy. You know, be my girl, would you be my girl? Would you be my, that sort of thing. And then it's the Sally bit's just spoken rubbish. I have a Genesis one here, and it's from an album you don't like, and it's from Abacab, and it's Who Done It, which
Oh,
is
that nearly
just.
got mine. That is just rubbish.
Although I do like the drums on it, must admit, I played it last night. I like the drums, but this song is dreadful. And this one, you're not going to be happy. You really are not going to be happy. But it's from one of my favorite albums of the 70s or 74, and it's Slade. And it's the opener to Old New Born Blue, just a little bit, the cover version. It should not be on that album. I'm sorry. It's just so raw. It's 2 years out of date. That's sort of similar to Get Down and Get With It. It shouldn't be on it. That album should have opened with When the Lights Are Out and dropped that completely.
No,
I think
I've got no problem with that because it's probably one of the.
I don't
That
mind
again
it.
should have been on a B side. Put it on a B side.
Mind the song, but it shouldn't have been on that album. A B side would have been far, far better. Definitely. So those are my bubbling unders.
Okay, mine. Well, my first one is from Ozzy Osbourne and his debut solo album, Blizzard of Oz. It's got some classics, Mr. Crawley, Suicide Susan, and it's Goodbye to Romance. Another person that should never do ballads. It just ruins the album. The only good thing about it is Randy Rhoads' guitar solo, and that's it. The rest of it, Ozzy should never. He tried it. He's tried it all through his solo career, and it doesn't work. I mean, he even got changes on Black's Volume 4, and that's, yeah. But that song is just yuck. Now, my second one is Deep Purple. Yeah, shock horror. It's from the 2017 album Infinite, and it's their version of Roadhouse Blues. Why? There's a rule of thumb: never do a Doors cover unless you're confident. There's only two good versions of Rodale's Blues in my books. That's The Doors, and the other one is Quo's. Anyone else tries it, it's right. Even Fish done it, and that was terrible. It's a great song, but absolutely executed wrongly by Deep Purple. It doesn't suit their ilk at all. My next one is from 1977, and it is Status Quo. And it is rocking all over the world.
Oh no!
But last night I went to see Francis Rossi to his chat and music, and they played it, and it's just two acoustic guitars. I learned a lot about it last night. You can tell it's written by John Fogerty because it's got that shuffle thing. And last night's probably the best version of Rocking All Over the World that I ever heard.
All right, okay.
Along with Margarita Time, that's much better as things. And the other thing they did Caroline, and there's a bit in it going da 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 da. He said we're going to sing it like Deborah. Mark Bolan does Deborah. Di-da di-da. Hilarious, brilliant. So there you go. I have changed my mind on it, but it still ruins the album. It's got rockers rolling on, hold your back. Here we go, look it. Oh no, that'll upset a lot of people. And my last one is from Jean-Michel Jarre. Now, it's from his 1990 album, Calypso. Calypso is fantastic. And then you get 43 minutes of Entendre Cousteau, which is just lots of bubbles and 43 minutes of nothing. And one that nearly made it was, I mean, it's not one of my favourite Queen albums, and that's the end of that last album. That that went on for about 40 minutes. I just can't see the point of tracks like that.
That wasn't credited though on that Queen album, was it?
That wasn't credited, but this is 43 minutes. I mean, the whole album is only about 50 minutes long. It's stupid like that.
What year was it? Sorry.
This is 1990, Calypso was.
Right, and I think a lot of those people, I know one of the reasons why they put those sort of crappy songs on that last so long was to stop people from copying the CDs because they wouldn't fit. Because in those days, you only had 74 minutes, and the 80 minutes were for the actually pre-recorded ones. But if you were buying blank discs back then, I think it was only 74 minutes.
That's all right, because no one used to want it. I did it for someone, and he went, I don't want that rubbish on the end. I said, no problem. Yeah, so there we go. That was a lot of fun, actually.
Enjoyed that as well. Sorry, I have a bit of a cough today, so I've been coughing and spluttering.
Not too bad. So we've already come up with our next one.
Yeah.
We haven't got a real title for it, and it's basically live songs that we think are better than the original, or, you know, that sort of thing. So we're going to do that. That'll be an interesting one. So once again, Richard, we've had a lot of fun, as ever. And I'll be back on Monday. What have I got for you Monday? Elton John soundtracks, all his soundtrack albums. I've really enjoyed doing this, Elton John, and I know you've enjoyed watching them. And then we're starting I'm doing a thing on Rolling Stone magazine's best albums of the decades. And I'm going to do the 2000, and it's number 17, Beck, Sea Change. So that's all Monday. So have a great weekend, everybody. And the only thing to say is goodbye from me.
That's goodbye from him. Bye.